Hi, this is Amy with Paramount. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Paramount podcast. Make sure to visit ParamountALS.com. That's ParamountALS.com.
Well, let's transition a little bit our conversation here into lead conversion and how our team, Craig, has been able to help you at a few of the different stops you've had before. So I know we talked about early on, I think you must have been one of the first people in the industry to figure out that maybe there's a more efficient business model outsource some of my lead conversion to a guy like Dave. How did you come up with something like that?
Well, let's call it like it is. I was introduced to him, and I was skeptical. You know why? Because nobody can conquer anything better than me. And I had it all down. It was my department. I got a department. I assigned a manager, and that manager had this was back in the day, had a lead book, and leads come in, and he'd mark them in a book, and he would call him. He was responsible, and they had a person check up on him, and everything was in the system and in these electronic CRMs, and we could track everything down. And then I had girls calling or BDCs calling, and
mainly your salespeople.
Mainly my salespeople, but I also had a great amount of expense. But I think the biggest thing you need to learn is, does everybody know what Apple is? Apple, right?
Yeah.
Apple, IBM, all these different places, right? Microsoft.
Yeah, Fortune 500 types.
You know what Fortune 500 companies do?
Yeah.
They find a concept that works for them, and they outsource. You know why they outsource? Because the insourcing is so expensive, and honestly, the truth of the matter is it's so difficult to change bad decisions for the fear that you don't want to be shunned because, man, I really didn't have that thing down. Well, back to what I'm saying, I was introduced and I said, I'll give it a try. And I gave it a try, and the results were like dripping, and they weren't very good at first. I cut them off. I said, we're done.
It was
I'm
like
firing
a
you.
day.
I'm done. I'm taking it all back. Taking it all back. And he goes, and I remember Dave says, you're going to give me one more shot at this thing. And he
Called
did.
you up, told you it was my Super Bowl.
Yep, and he did, and he came through, and he called, and you know what? My place, he actually brought a crew. He brought
first
a crew.
I came myself.
Because you're a visual guy. You don't believe that you think that all we did was just we have somebody over doing what you're doing at a different site, and that's all you think, right?
Yeah.
You need a visual. You need to see. So he brings this entourage of collective different people to our store, and they all got on the phone, and it looked like something out of a movie. They're just calling. People are showing up.
Odd people.
Yeah, but the thing about it was, the one thing I did notice, a common situation was every single one of them was verbally skilled, and not skilled in the way where most BDCs. You know how BDCs work? They give you they keep dropping to give you the lowest price. Or they keep telling you a story. They keep lying so you show up. They tell you a bunch of mistruths. And then the managers, if things aren't going well, he's going to go, well, we're not doing well because the BDC is terrible.
Right.
Well, who's the BDC? They got Julie the housewife, and they got Sam that used to be in plumbing, but now he's not. What do you call it? And I gave him some scripts, and he's going to read them, and he's going to be successful. Well, I think that itself keeps going back to what we talked about way earlier when we started this conversation about the past. The past doesn't dictate the future. And if you either adapt or die in this industry, either you become smart or you become a dinosaur, and then you become extinct. The fact of the matter is that there is a way of having intelligent people respond to your leads and the consumers that are calling, and having a good conversation with them, and telling them that you can come into a dealership and meet a decision maker and have a product specialist show you everything you want. And guess what? There's no pricing being told.
Yeah.
There's no talk about interest rates. You know what? Consumers know most of the information they're asking about, but they just want somebody to give them a clear expectation of what they can see when they come to that store. And if it's not spelled out, then it's not. But back to what you're saying is that I decided that after that was successful, that's the way to go. Because I can't keep putting money behind one person. You ever make a manager, BDC is the manager. Mm-hmm. But then you look and say, well, how many people is he? Well, he's not. He doesn't make that many phone calls because he's watching over this person, this person, this person, this person. And the cost started to rise higher, where BDC managers are now 6-figure people. That's one person. And that one person isn't exactly dictating the flow of traffic. You know, he or she is not making that thing happen. Mm-hmm. She's telling others to do what she's lip loading people to tell them what to do, and they're on the phone. Yeah. And that's such a turnover, mm-hmm. and that itself became to a point where I'm tired of hearing the excuse. I am not going to fall on a sword because I am too, proud to say I need help. Mm-hmm. So you know what? Guess what? It's Paramount. You were doing this for such a long time, and the funny part about it now is that there's now other people coming into the industry. Yeah. And you know what they're doing? They're just hiring everybody they got fired as a BDC manager, bringing them in here. I mean, if someone can see the people that work for you, mm-hmm. the education, very smart individuals that go there. A lot of college students, a lot of internships, of people that know how to talk, and almost like crisis counselors. You guys are talking, you're engaging, you get great information, the customers are showing up. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't I not do that? I'd rather outsource it than have a concern with just trying to have all my leads, phone calls come into one area mm-hmm. where my managers aren't touching. It's just this group of BDC, and that's what they do. Yeah. Now, I think you're going to have 2 or 3 people or whatever, or a small amount, to handle the everyday, the little lead or nuances.
You still want somebody presently at your dealership. I think a fear maybe that we often run into is a dealership says, well, I want to be able to feel that department still, right? If I'm fully outsourcing and there's no one there, mm-hmm. They want to have maybe at least somebody there. So
sometimes they feel that, Dom, not to cut you off. Craig was saying that earlier. Sometimes if you don't see it, mm-hmm. you don't believe mm-hmm. that it's there.
Correct.
Yeah. So you have to, build that confidence when you finally decide, okay, I'm going to send my kid to school to let this teacher go raise my child, not in the sense of raising, but
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you have to have faith and trust. And Craig mentioned with the Fortune 500 companies, I don't want this to sound too self-serving, but it is about Paramount. Craig said, at some point, you're not going to be great at every single thing in your organization.
Correct.
What do we do the best? And then go do that. Now, this I can outsource because that's what they do the best all day, every day. There are a lot of dealerships that have, great people, great BDC that it works, but that doesn't mean it can't be better. When's the last time you checked? And when people come and they go into these circumstances like Craig is talking about, and people are learning how to be, here's what happens to reps. It happens to everybody. And if this is happening to your organization, what happens when people work for more than a year, 2 years? What happens naturally?
You get comfortable.
But yes. What else happens? They got to get paid more. Mm-hmm. Why? Because like this chair, it's been there. Well, you don't want that expense to go up just for the sake of going up.
No.
So
correct.
With an outsource, we have that responsibility then of constantly having things move so that we can regulate the cost for the dealership, make it be a fixed op that stays, and then at the same time, performance can grow with the dealership based on leads and things like that. What happens to people over time, they start to get kind of good, and then they level off. Yeah. And how are you going to ever get that department to get you more? How are you going to do it?
You're not.
So they switch and they run in and out. And, if you have an organization like Paramount and we're not doing the job, what do you do? Like you did in the beginning.
We shut it off.
Yeah.
We shut it off. And I can't shut off a BDC and tell 8 people to go home and then get another 8 people in the next couple of days. Right. And the funny part about it is that think about this. We go back, it's so crazy. GMs and owners, they cry about why my advertiser's not working. This is not working. I'm going to tell you the truth, and this is the ugly truth. When you have an outsource like Paramount, that spigot's on. You're going to find out what managers we talked about want to work and that don't want to work. You're going to find out, is your GM a leader or a hider? Is he an office setting guy? He wants to read graphs all day. He wants to say, hey, go out and do this, and because I used to do it 20 years ago. That's not, I always tell owners, listen, if you want a partner, get one of them double desk, and then just have the GM sit with you, and you guys can both be co-owners. But no owner in the world would go do that. He'd say, get out there. That's what I paid for running my store. Well, you don't run your store. He sits in an office all day and demands and barks, wants to have results.
Yeah.
Well, then someone says, well, boss, show me how to get them. Well, go ask this guy. I hired this guy or I hired that guy. The great thing about having Paramount is that I always have, let's just say in the Utopia, everybody I have, salesperson has a customer, managers are working them, I'm working customers, and all of a sudden, the three people I might have in my business development they're on the phone, and the phone keeps ringing. Who's calling all the other customers? You don't have enough people to do so. I don't have to worry about that. That's not my issue no more. Yeah. My issue is to say, hey guys, you become a part of my team. And I say, hey, here's the deal. This is what we got advertised. This is what we got coming in. This is what I need you guys to attack. And I know in my confidence that you guys are going to go after it. And I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to sit there and put the balance of my operation and the success of my flow, my traffic, on somebody that just got a job that's getting paid X amount of dollars an hour, and they get per shows or per solds or whatever, how the programs work at different various stores. That's a lot of pressure. You put more pressure on a BDC than you do your sales manager, your general manager to get people in a store.
Yeah.
It's their fault. So when was the last time 3 days in a row came and there was hardly any traffic and they fired the general manager or they fired the sales manager? No, it's the BDC's fault. Right. But then on the other flip side, when you have them record days and they sell 20 cars, who was the hero that day?
The
GM manager.
Yeah.
I was out there.
Right.
I was out there like McCarthy. I was leading the troops, and my sales managers were just killing it.
Right.
So you can't have it both ways. You can't take, So with outsourcing, it just enables you to be smarter. It makes you. It not only that you get great data, you get factual response. You got the person that's going to tell you, hey, I don't know where you spent your money here, but these 30 people we call are vaguely, if not none, interested in what you have to say. They just here for the free gift card. Mm-hmm. Wow, light bulb goes on. Now you've got the correctiveness to talk to your advertising agencies with intelligence. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because they're showing you, remember, everything's about the dollar, right? They want you to keep spending the money, and when an advertising agent just throws the money up in the air, and you know what, whatever lands is good. But the fact is that you want to have some accountability, and then Paramount, you guys are also an insurance company. What I spent, if I'm spending $30,000 a month, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it might be, I have somebody that is attacking the opportunities that are there, bringing them back in the store. Right. And not only that, you guys, you leave a good message. You have professionals talking on the phone. You have no one reading scripts on the phone to customers. You have you have a real good program, and it works. And it flat works. And I think the most important thing for me is that I know in the end of the day that I got a group of people that I can count on, a partner that I know that's going to supply me whatever I need to make sure that I'm getting traffic through my door.
Well, the nice part about what you said too is a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And you got leads, and like you said, the advertising agency will tell you where to spend and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, I think you'd agree it's probably more about lead conversion than it is more leads.
Sure.
You got plenty.
Correct.
If you need to sell more cars, maybe someone needs to be better. And a lot of times the BDC is doing the best they can, but it's not no one's ever really taught anybody to be this greatest person on the phone, where this is all we've done for 30 years. The only thing we've done is converted leads or sell somebody by telephone. And when the leads aren't right or it's not going perfect, instead of calling Craig and Andrea and saying, I got an excuse,
Yeah.
the leads aren't great. No, we'll never do that. We'll just go data mine and equity mining and guarantee X amount of shows in your showroom to help fill the gaps. Or maybe sometimes that's the only product we have. We've done that for you too. And then we've evolved into taking over the lead conversion for the internet.
I think the most important thing too is that you put so much emphasis on. I rather have pros doing my job than just throwing it at the internal workings. I think is good, because here's the deal. I would ask any dealer or general manager, would you take your BDC manager and let them desk deals on a Saturday all by themselves? Praise cars, close customers, go talk to them. And most of them were like, oh no. Well, they're talking to your customers.
Right.
They're talking to your
They're
customers.
your direct link to
How
that
about your
customer.
BDC people, your representatives? Would you want them? You take your sales staff off the floor and put them out there and let them sell cars. How's that going to work for you?
Yeah.
So you know what? Sometimes you got to, and I know it sounds brash, and there's probably someone's going to listen to this and go, oh, that guy, you should see my guys are the best, or my person's the best. Well, maybe so. But I'm going to tell you something. At the end of the day, you'd be hard pressed to use both your hands to find, and this is a lot of, there's thousands and thousands of auto dealerships, but every single one of them, the topic is BDC. How do we do this? How do we do that? Fact of the matter is, I'm just telling you, the world is going to be much easier when you start to outsource things. Be smart about it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in a parts department, right? You sell parts. You know you're going to sell parts. You know the car's going to break. You don't stock every part of every car that you possibly can.
Right.
It would be a financial nightmare. You can't. So what you do, you make relationships with big parts stores that you can get to, and you can go and they're holding on. That's outsourcing.
Yeah.
That's outsourcing.
True.
Insourcing was just take them all and put them inside there. You can't miss, right?
Yeah.
Everything will be there.
Yeah, totally.
So until it doesn't work, so the one thing is, like I said, you just have to embrace change and know that this thing is changing very, very rapidly to the point where people are going to be doing most of their business on the phone.
Yeah.
On the app. Forget the computer itself. They're not even on that thing. They're called laptops now. They're not even. I mean, you're lucky to even have one.
A phone like you made me go get. It's like a
exactly.
computer.
Well, you're getting up there.
And I think one other quick question for you, Craig. So in terms of what are some of the best ways that you implement Paramount into your dealership? I know we've gotten this question before from maybe a few dealerships that want to get started with something like that. Is what does that implementation look like? How do you come into a store and implement Paramount to make sure that your reps, your people all believe in the process that's being done? How do you go about
It starts from me. It starts absolutely from me. And I am there to say that this is our team member. So just like everybody here that wears the jersey of our dealership here is our team. Regardless of what their job duties, they're on our team. And we do everything to support them, that they're on our team. If you're having a vendor and you're bringing Paramount on, they're on your team. It's not your team and then against Paramount.
Right.
You want them to be the successful arm that you reached out for. And you have to treat it that way. And you have to listen, and you have to pay attention, and you have to work hand in hand with them. Just like your advertising agencies. If you just get somebody and the only thing you're going to do is wait until they do something wrong so you could go, I told you, look at that, then you're not ready to grow.
Well, this is what you said when we were talking earlier, right? If you hire somebody, people will hire vendors and look for them to screw up.
Because they want them to screw
Right.
up. I guess. I know it's just kind of weird. It doesn't make any sense to me.
As opposed to, okay, I've hired this person. Let's do everything in our power to not accept excuses from the same people that make excuses day in and day out about everything else.
Correct.
And let's use it. Let's use it like it's supposed to be used.
And I just say be active. Be active. Be active and hold people and hold your managers to hold themselves accountable. Being the fact is that every single customer, think about this. I'm going to give you a couple scenarios. Customer comes in, Paramount calls them back in and says, hey, listen, come on in and trade your car in and see if we can do something with you. And that customer comes in, and for some reason things have changed financially in their situation, and maybe they owe way more than their car's worth. And they come into the dealership, And now all of a sudden you guys are piranhas. How dare you bring that customer here? How dare you? Well, doesn't he still service his car or her car? Parts and service. Why can't you just maybe, let them know that you're going to do everything you can to help them and put some effort in it? Show them something. Because every bad situation will roll off and they're back in the market sooner or later one day. And what, they're not good to you now? So here's the point. You have to want it all.
Yeah.
And you go back to what I say. If you raise your expectations on customers and how you feel about your customers and how you want your customers to feel about your organization, then it doesn't matter their circumstance. Great if everybody came in here super positive and money.
800 credit score, everything's perfect.
We didn't even need the credit score. There's different situations.
Yeah.
But they're going to remember the way they were treated and how they were treated. And they're going to remember and they're going to refer people to that fact. Maybe you get a referral from that person, send somebody over there, because they say to themselves, man, they're good people over there. They have nothing negative to say. And there's been times that we've done the things that I scratch my head and go, can't believe they actually got out of that thing. Great for them. And they're so happy. And it's exciting. But you're never going to get there as if you're going to be judged on the outcome of the deal, right? You guys, Paramount being the fact is that they're your partner. Their agreement is, guys, I'm gonna get you people in your showroom, and you do what you do best. And we're going to make sure that the people that come to your store, that they're going to understand that, that it's very important that upper management wants to see them. Love to have the opportunities to give them a great automobile experience, whether it's parts, service, or sales. I mean, and they just feel more confident to go back to that store. And as a culture, you build that culture, you'll be successful. And I think, like I said, that's the one thing I would say. Take somebody in, take them in as a partner, and give them everything, all the support they can to be successful.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot for the time today.
No problem.
Absolutely.
Great.
And
no call. We're shaking hands.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to say something at the end, big boy?
No, I was gonna say one last topic, but if we want to wrap it up we
what's
can.
the topic?
Well, the final topic, and we'll end it here, is just the future of the automotive industry. Right, we're sitting here today. It's June 11th, 2020. Where do we see the automotive industry going from here in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years?
Well, I'm going to tell you that there's going to be a lot of people trying to take the space that you guys are in. And because the fact is that outsourcing is going to be a large component of business. I think you're going to find that the efficiency level of stores that are going to be successful are going to be the ones that can change to this new technology market, right? And professional people are important, and people that know their product is important. And if you just go into an Apple store and buy a phone, see that experience. One person takes you in and logs you in on an iPad. Another person, you're going to go to this station, that station. They got a systematic situation. It's going to be the same thing here, right? And you're going to need to move and adapt to the new technology, the outsourcing, the ability to have multitudes of people that can communicate with your customers and bring them to the store.
Just knowing Craig for the
or else they're not going to be around.
20 years, I've seen him be ahead of his time creatively in his business. I see he started the insurance company. You did the thing where you would, with the subprime, that people weren't doing it to the level you did it. You first went outsourcing.
Correct.
With the BDC. And Craig's also got some other thoughts in line with it, not just the BDC being outsourced, but potentially, Craig, the weaker, because there's not a lot of great talent, even in the GM spots, GSS.
Correct.
That stuff could eventually get outsourced.
Correct. And like I said, there's going to be a point where where the money to run dealerships are, and you can, the immense amount of people that are in the auto industry, they're out there and they have a lot of capital investment in stores. And what they're doing now is they're starting to scramble as the talent starts to diminish. They need help. They need the ability for to be successful, and they're going to need everything they can, and it's outsourcing with Paramount to get people into the door, or outsourcing even to get talent to come in to
Imagine
turn people
outsourcing
around.
GM type talent.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And one final question. I know this is maybe some of the buzzwords going on in the industry, but what are your takes on companies that are taking the dealer model a little bit different? Companies like a Carvana out there, companies that are trying to connect customers to vehicles a little bit differently than the traditional sort of brick and mortar dealer model. What's your take on business model?
My take is they're there and they're real and they're gaining traction, and the only way the bricks and mortars are going to be successful is to go out and emulate that fast-paced type of in and out kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Good communications by having outsourcing of opportunities of people to come into your store.
Mm-hmm.
Good communication as they come in here. Have the ability to get in and out of your automobile dealership in a quick fashion.
Right.
I think that's what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be convenient.
Probably keeping service.
Yeah,
number
service
one, right?
will always be there. But the one thing, like I said, these everything starts off as you see them in your rearview mirror, and it's and the object's small. So they're nothing.
Yeah.
Until they're passing you or they're on your side.
Yeah.
And then you're going to panic. So once again, if you don't change or don't adapt, you're just going to die in this industry. And I think the most important thing is to understand that there's always very smart people out there coming up with new concepts, and you have to be ahead of them.
Yeah.
Or quite frankly, with them, to make sure that you're doing the right things.
Or die.
That's it. Or I won't be around.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you guys so much, Craig. It's been a great pleasure here. Thank you so much. And this is going to wrap up our fourth podcast here. So thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Back to
Thank
Mark.
you. All
Thanks,
right.
Craig.
We can't wait to see you next time at the Paramount Podcast. Make sure to tune in.